Good morning. Hey, thanks for joining us. It means so much that you're here. We've had a 2-week break. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Debra Prinzing, and I'm the creator of Slow Flowers, and I'm so grateful that you're all joining us today. This is our first monthly virtual meetup. We took a couple weeks off. A lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, remarkably in our world, and I just wanted to just take a minute and let you know what we're doing at Slow Flowers to kind of respond to all of the I guess activities that are happening, and the posts and the news and the marches and the protests against police brutality and killing of Black people. It really hit us all so severely in my household and in many of yours, and we just knew that we had to use Slow Flowers' platform to advocate for change and be leaders in our own little universe if we could. So with the wonderful input from many of our Black members, and also with the Slow Flowers team, Karen and Lisa and Nisha, we came up with a statement that I'm going to share on the screen here if I can, to let you know kind of where we're at. Okay, so we made this statement 2 weeks ago, well, the Monday following our last meeting, on our Instagram post. We stand with our fellow Black Slow Flowers Society members, the florists, farmers, supporters, and entire Black community. We cannot stay silent about things that actually matter. And I really, Nisha, thank you so much for creating this beautiful graphic. It really resonated with people, and we got literally hundreds of comments and shares. This was the other slide that we posted. But as part of this, we decided to donate all of the revenue of Slow Flowers for the month of May, which is about $5,000, to the Equal Justice Initiative. And the Equal Justice Initiative is run by a lawyer named Brian Stevenson in Montgomery, Alabama. He is the man whose story became a movie recently called Just Mercy. And he basically employs hundreds of lawyers to advocate for unfair incarceration rules, police brutality, prison reform, social justice in our community. And we really we thought that was going to touch a lot of lives. The next thing we did was post this just a couple days ago. We realized that we have a disproportionately small number of Black members in Slow Flowers. I mean, literally under 10 out of 725 members. That seemed to be completely inexcusable. And we realized that we can't just sit around and say, well, Black members aren't joining Slow Flowers. I mean, that's just a very passive, inexcusable thing to do. So we started a professional development fund for Black florists and flower farmers to reach out and encourage them to look at Slow Flowers and join and underwrite their first year of membership. And the exciting thing is that we've received several donations already to match the funds that Slow Flowers is setting aside. And also a couple nominations of people that we should reach out to and ask to join. So if you have any suggestions, nominate or recommend candidates, farmers and florists that you think would be a good kind of in alignment with what Slow Flowers is doing in terms of just promoting domestic flowers, I'd love to hear from you. And finally, here's the graphic from Equal Justice Initiative, and they're really fascinating to follow on Instagram. EJI I think is the Instagram. We'll put it in the chat box. And then yesterday we made a donation to the Black Sanctuary Garden Project, and the Black Sanctuary Gardens is in Oakland. It's run by Leslie Bennett, and she's a landscape designer who owns Pine House Edible Gardens rather. And Leslie and I are old friends. She was a speaker at our very first summit in 2017, and she is a real advocate for communities of color having gardens, and she's created this wonderful project, so we wanted to support that. So I encourage you to, I think she has a GoFundMe right now, so I will encourage you to look at that. And then finally, we've been doing a series ongoing to highlight our Black members and pretty much, showcase their work, let our followers and community know about our members and the beautiful work that they're doing as farmers and florists. And this series will be ongoing, and I have to give props to Nisha for just doing such a beautiful job. And one thing I just want to let you know is that because I have brown children and I've been on the receiving end of people wanting to use our kids' photos when they were younger as sort of like the token Black kids in the Sunday school or at the gym or in their elementary schools, which we always, no one asked our permission, they just did it. I just felt it was really important to ask our members who we wanted to showcase for their permission. And some of them have said no. They just declined and said, not for me. And others are really been, happy to have us help shine a light on their work. So we're trying to all be super mindful and put our white privilege aside and stop thinking we know all the answers and really being inclusive and having representation. So I just wanted to take a moment to give you that update. I'm going to stop this screen, but if anyone wants this, we'll probably put this deck in a newsletter coming, in the future. But okay, so if you have any questions about that, please put them in the chat box or reach out to me privately. I'd really love to be in conversation with you about that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about American Flowers Week, which is coming up June 28th through July 4th. Every year for about the last 5 years, we've commissioned farmers and florists, sometimes individually and sometimes as teams, to create botanical couture looks, floral fashions. And now this isn't new. I didn't come up with this. People have been doing floral fashions forever, but it captured my imagination as a way that we could really create some visual excitement around American grown flower. Our first guest is ridiculous, is we have two designers on the call. Sorry, I got a little flummoxed there. We have two designers on the call as special guests. First is Alison Higgins of Grace Flowers Hawaii, and she's actually this is her second time doing botanical couture for us. And then following Alison, we'll have MONÍCA Pugh of Floras and Bouquets. She's in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I'm really thrilled that they're both joining us. I think it'll be really fun to hear how they created their dresses. So while I have Alison on, I'm going to pop up some of the images of both of her creations, this year's and the one that she did 2 years ago. So Alison, welcome. You get the prize for getting out of bed earlier than anyone else because it's 6 a.m. on the Big Island.
Good morning. Yeah, it is. That's okay. I'm pretty used to getting up early and going and picking flowers and starting my day.
Yeah, this is something that flower farmers and florists know about. I'm going to put a box under my mic here. Alison, thank you so much for all your support over the years as a Slow Flowers member. You're literally our most active member in Hawaii, and I don't know why that is, but I'm glad because we get you all to ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to tell everybody a little bit about your business, and then we'll share. While you're doing that, I'll pull up the photos. Does that sound good? And people,
sounds great.
Karen's just added Grace Flowers Hawaii's website and Instagram to the chat box. Okay. Thanks, Alison. Give us a little snapshot of Grace Flowers Hawaii.
Do we want to do before COVID or after?
Yeah, right.
Our business up until March, I employ 15 people. Nicole's one of my amazing employees, like we talked about. And we were doing about 35 weddings and events a month. We're a full service floral shop. Before COVID, we were open 7 days a week. And really emphasize using as local products as we can. However, a lot of brides do want like roses and things that we can't get in volume locally. So we were importing quite a few things. Since COVID, we've actually, because we're on such a smaller scale, we've been really using more local flowers. The only time I've brought in from out of state in the last 3 months is just for graduation, because there were some flowers that people really kind of insisted on, and we're going to hope to wean them away from that. So we're hoping to kind of reinvent things, you know, after we open up. I'm sure we'll still have to bring a few things in, but it's amazing what can grow on the Big Island. We're always impressed. Flower sales are down a little bit as far as, you know, just people wanting flowers themselves. And my dad owned a plant nursery growing up, so I have a real background in nurserymanship, and so we started kind of doing a garden center at the shop. We just got approved to carry Johnny's seeds.
I love it.
And yeah, so, you know, it's kind of like we might not be selling as many flowers, but plants are moving. We were working with a nursery about an hour away, and I started doing cuttings and propagation again. And one of my employees actually worked for my mom and dad's plant nursery years ago when they had it. She's close to my mom and dad's age, and so she's helping us keep. She's got such a green thumb.
That's wonderful.
And we're doing veggie seeding. So yeah. So and then flower subscriptions. So yeah, we went from having about 120 weddings and events on the books for the last 3 months to 2. So
wow.
yeah, we're just kind of trying to stay afloat, keep things all going.
And Alison, is a lot of that because people travel to the Big Island for weddings? They're not local brides, right?
Yeah. Well, and even, I mean, I would say 90% of our business is destination weddings. And even out of that 10%, you can't have groups larger than 10 people. Hawaii is really, really strict, which is great. The Big Island has had 0 cases in over 7 days.
Wow.
And even Oahu, which is the main island, has only had, you know, 6, under 10 a day. And even some days with 0. So, you know, it's been great as far as our health. But the business aspect of it has been really difficult.
Well, let's try to drive some business by promoting what you did for American Flowers Week. Should we look at the dress?
Sure.
So the current, I'm going to put the photos of the orchid dress up, and then after we look ooh and ah over that, I'll pull up the photos from 2018 that you did with Nicole Cordier, who's our good friend. Okay,
sounds great.
See if I can. Okay, so I thought this was a fun photo that actually showed you working on the dress. So I just have all these photos on my gallery, so I'm just gonna click through them. But there's
Sure.
Alison on the left working with her model at the photo shoot. So tell us a little bit about how this dress came to be.
Oh my gosh. This dress, so we had an order for, I think, like 200 lei. And we make most of our lei in-house. And the orchids we use are locally sourced. And I did the math wrong and over-ordered by like, I think 20,000 blossoms. And
okay.
I was like, well, I really don't want this to go to waste. But even because, you know, my employees are so great, and they're like, well, we could do a lei special. And I was like, guys, like, this is going to make like another 200 lei. Like, even if we did a lei special, we might sell 10. So I decided to do a flower dress, and it was a girlfriend of mine's birthday, and she had the party at this location. And I knew, you know, it was at her friend's house, and I've met him, but I hadn't met his beautiful girlfriend. So I'd started this dress, and I wasn't going to go to the party. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. I haven't seen her in a while. And I saw this location, and I met his girlfriend, and I just was like, oh my gosh, she has to model this dress. And
it looks like it was just, you started making it before you met her, but it fits her beautifully.
I started making it before I met her, and I chose, so it's the flowers are on a thrift store dress because
this is a nice photo because this shows the detail, right?
Right, yeah, and that's actually at the orchid farm where the flowers are grown, which happened to just be literally 3 driveways up from where the property we shot at was.
It's amazing.
The model's name is Jasmine. I will have to look up her last name.
I'll look it up while you're talking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't. She did an amazing job, and it turns out that she would love to kind of pursue some modeling. So she was really excited about it. And it was a great day. It was a great shoot. The photographer, Sarah Anderson, she shot my wedding. She's a sweet friend. I've known her pretty much my whole life. And I kind of had to talk. It was funny. I felt like I was negotiating a deal. And I took pictures of it. And I was like, do you guys think we could come tomorrow or maybe the next day and do some pictures, at your property? And Jasmine, would you like to model it? And I'm like trying to show the dress. It's not complete. I'm trying to show how cool it's going to look. And then, I talked to the photographer, and she'd envisioned coming to her house, which is pretty close to my shop, because she was doing this for free. And so, I was like, Sarah, I really think we should do the shoot in water. And she's like, okay. That's going to add a lot of uncertainty in the photos, because my initial thought was in the ocean, and then you have waves, and
right.
So I had pictures of Jasmine, I had pictures of the property, and I'm like, here's the dress, here's the property, I will drive, I will buy you lunch. And so we made it work, and we couldn't find hair and makeup, although, Jasmine didn't really need hair because she had these beautiful, braids, and she was a little concerned that the color of her hair was an issue. She said, oh, I have these magenta highlights. And I said, no, it's beautiful. It's perfect. The dress in the back has some magenta. And so we were so, so thrilled.
Wow. You got her really into the water there.
We got her we actually submerged her, and her boyfriend had an underwater camera and took a few on his end underwater. And that was, there was just, I thought it would fill the pool. It turns out 10,000 or 12,000, however many orchids were left, does not fill a full-size pool.
I love
so
it.
if any florists need to fill a pool, you'll probably need about 100,000 orchid blossoms.
I looked up Jasmine's full name so we can credit her. It's Jasmine Kume Amari is the model.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Sarah Anderson is the photographer. And
Sarah Anderson is the photographer. ACK Flowers is the dendrobiums supplier, and they do ship. So I can pass that information if anyone, I know especially right now, everybody's looking for new clients and more more opportunities to sell their product.
Alison, Rachel has just asked what kind of orchids those are. Those dendrobiums?
Those are all dendrobiums. So I don't know what I was thinking. We did have other things going on, but I started off by taking the tongues off of the actual flower. Real quick, the picture with the girl doing makeup ended up being a friend of mine, Kaylee Rose, who is an artist and doesn't do makeup professionally, but she's very artistic and does amazing things.
It takes a village, right?
It takes a village. We started by doing taking the tongues out, and then realizing that was going to be super tedious, but we kind of just started doing it. So it allowed us to lay the orchids more flat on the fabric, which was glued on with floral glue. And then with the small petals and the tongues that we'd removed, that's what I created the bodice with.
I'm going to zoom in on this one. I think when I interviewed Alison for the story, I couldn't understand why there was almost like a tonal contrast in the band around the waist and then on the neckline, and that's because you separated the tongue from the outer petals, right?
So the tongue is what the belt is created with, and then the neckline and the bodice is all individual white petals. So the actual petals off of the blossom itself.
It's crazy.
And then one of my employees, he had the amazing idea of attaching the orchids in sort of a swirl pattern, or, you know, at an angle at least.
Mm-hmm.
So it created a little more movement on the base, the gown.
Yeah, do you guys see that? It kind of has that kind of
You can
diagonal
really
bias.
see that swoop. Yeah. Yeah, so
So
he did an, you know, great eye.
Was it, you know, I know that sometimes when people are telling me about their botanical dresses, that there's like a race against product wilting. Are orchids kind of sturdy and durable in that regard? Like, would a different type of flower not have been happy with this kind of direction?
Yeah, orchids are really hardy. And we do have a walk-in, so we were able to spritz it down, put a garbage bag over it, create almost like a hydration chamber, and leave it on the mannequin that is in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
We actually broke the mannequin making this. The mannequin itself is now on a bucket. You can't tell because the dress covers it. But yeah, we were able to keep it in the walk-in and, you know, let it hydrate really well. I made a little quick hairpiece for her. And then the beautiful foliage bouquet that's been featured, Nicole made that.
Right, I love it.
Yeah, we decided, you know, simple, no flowers really, just all foliage was what.
Yeah, it really lends
what
itself
we
to that,
wanted to go.
and lends itself to that location, which is so lush and just verdant. Yeah. Well, kudos, congratulations. It is stunning, and I really love that it just showcases a singular flower, which, you know, is just one way to go about this. If anyone's listening who's interested in maybe being one of our Botanical Couture dress designers in 2021, this is something to think about in terms of the volume of flowers needed and the kind of the supporting material and glue, like bottles of glue, I'm sure that you went through.
Yes, quite a few. Somebody asked for details. Deborah, did I send you the roll of our behind the scenes shots?
Maybe. Let me look for them. I'll look for those, but I want to jump over to the I want to jump over to the dress that you did in, let me not share my screen right now while I look for it. I want to jump over to the dress you did with your team in 2018, because it was a knockout. And, you know, for as lovely and quiet as this white dress is, the the 2018 look from our Hawaii friends was incredible in its own way, and pretty bright. Okay, here.
It was a little different, yeah.
Yeah, let me get that up on the screen. Can you also just talk about the swirl pattern? I wanted you to elaborate on that, Alison. You said that you actually made strands of lei and then glued them on. Is that correct?
No, so the lei strands we actually attached after. So the swirl pattern we attached. So the dress, every flower and every petal was glued one at a time.
Jeez, it's crazy.
Yeah. So what you have up on the screen now, this was the shoot that we did in 2018. Deborah and Nicole kind of started chatting, and, you know, Deborah mentioned that she was looking for someone from Hawaii and asked if we'd be interested in doing some flower couture, which
you had done before. Had you done something like this before?
No, not really. Okay. No.
Well, you got beginner's luck, because it's amazing. Let me try to zoom in out of that. There's a detail of all the botanical elements that you used for this magnificent duo.
Yeah. Well, so Nicole and I started talking about it. We were really excited, and we knew we wanted to do a cape, and Nicole really wanted to do a skirt, so we did both of them.
Yeah, this is a
Each of
nice
these pieces,
example.
yeah, each of these pieces took about 20 hours, maybe 18 to 20 hours. And yeah, so we just wanted to highlight locally sourced, you know, from the Big Island. So everything in these was local. For the fabric, we used the black velvet. So the velvet was actually on the inside, and the back of the black velvet was really easy to glue things to. We actually used hot glue for these. Little different from the cold glue.
Why did that work? Did that work because the material, the tropical flowers and foliage in general, it's got a little more waxiness to it, or?
A little more waxiness. I'll be honest, we hadn't really worked with cold glue before. I didn't really like it. It wasn't till a class with Francois Weeks that I've become a believer in cold glue. And so, yeah. So somebody asked about the actual dress. If you're talking about the orchid dress, that was a dress I bought from the thrift store. These models, their skirt and cape, it was actually velvet fabric that we had a friend of ours that sews kind of put together for us. So she made the shape of the cape and then made the skirt to be able to tie in the back. So yeah, so those two pieces we had made for this shoot and then attached all the flowers to it.
They're remarkable.
And then, yeah, we felt like for the top, we just went with lots and lots of really unique lay. And then she had like a tube top. We took a few pictures without it, but for the most part. And the model for this, the female model, Kayla, she is a really sweet friend of mine that moved to Oahu, and she dances and models professionally. And we actually had another male model lined up, and the day of the event, he called in sick. And so we were sweating bullets, and Kayla said, oh, I have a friend who owns a dance company. Let me call him. And his name's Chris Young. And so he was able to come in, and after work, he met us in Kohala where this was shot, and was amazing. And we are so grateful. Yeah.
Oh, Alison, you have so much material included in these garments, like the diversity. I guess that's what I was so excited about. First of all, they're beautiful. Secondly, I think the way you designed with this sort of band pattern of material, it really showcases the diversity of you know, what's growing in Hawaii, that some of which is you deconstructed, so it doesn't even really look like what we're familiar, like a ginger or a you know, certain types of foliages that you kind of turn into a pattern. It's just stunning.
Well, a lot of it's not, I mean, I would say for these 75% of it was tropical, but you know, we have some dianthus in there. We have, oh, it's been a while, but
you have snapdragons, don't you? I think you have snapdragons.
Yeah. So there was definitely not only tropical flowers in there, which is really exciting for us, you know, to be able to feature things that people don't associate with tropical, because our climate is so vast. We really can grow almost everything. We have someone even trying to grow peonies right now, which we're very excited about.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm really excited about the diversity of flowers on the Big Island right now.
Yeah, and you've really, like you said, been trying to shift some of your clients away from the, you know, roses and baby's breath. But they don't know what they don't know. They have to see how beautiful local flowers are to like, and to trust you that you're going to design something really special. That there's so much better than, you know, a rose, to be honest. There's a nice detail.
Yeah, and there, so that has calathea leaves, ginger, some deconstructed cymbidiums, anthuriums, bird of paradise, elema, croton, protea. Yeah.
I love the little collar. I love the pincushion protea as the little like neckline there. That's so wonderful.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
Oh, thank you so much thank you for sharing your talents and being part of our core category of, I would call botanical couture creators and artists. And you just, I asked you to do the first one in 2018. The orchid dress was a surprise. You came to me and you said, hey, guess what? I've got another dress for you.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful.
It was a sort of a surprise for all of us. It was one of my employees, Jade, helped me make it. And other than that, the staff made some of the lei that trailed in the back, and everyone else made the flowers that needed to get done, you know, the paying clients. And we just kind of kept making the dress and finished it up. I love your Queen lei.
Oh, so Lisa, do you want to jump in and tell Alison what you just did?
I just dropped it in the chat, but I remembered I had a kukui nut lei from my time in Hawaii, so I got all excited looking at all those pictures. I had to go put it on.
Okay, I gotta do something to show off too. Hang on. These are my wonderful flowers that Alison and her team just sent me as a sympathy gift for after my father's death. But first of all, the tuberose is incredible. You can smell it throughout the house, and it's just it's so beautiful. And here's the tuberose. And then are these the same dendrobiums?
One. Those are the white, yeah. So those are the same farm. Those are our white dendrobiums.
When I think about how many flowers or little florets are on one stem, I can't imagine.
It's between 10 and 20.
You are a crazy woman.
So they come to us in garbage bags though, or in bins. So we didn't have to pluck those off the stem itself.
I see. So it's like getting a bag of rose petals or something.
It's like getting a bag of rose petals, yeah.
Why do they do that? Because they are for lei making?
Yeah, or a lot of times we get them for petal scatters.
Got it. Like a rose, yeah.
Like
a Wow. Well, listen, if anybody's interested in sharing the beautiful looks that Alison made and for American Flowers Week, we've turned them into social media graphics, and those are available for free download at AmericanFlowersWeek.com, as are all the looks, including the one of our next guest. So Alison, I'm going to thank you so much. If you have to go get coffee or breakfast, you're going to stay with us? Great.
I'm going to stay. I've got my tea. I'm good.
Awesome. Well, MONÍCA Pugh, I want to introduce you. I just lost you on my screen. Oh, there you are. Hi, unmute. Thanks so much for joining us. And MONÍCA is one of our only South Dakota members, not our only, but you know, the most important one right now. Can you tell everybody about floras and bouquets, and I'll pull up your photos in a minute.
Okay, I'm here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I am a urban flower farm florist. So I grow I grow in my yard, my front yard, my backyard. The neighbors just north of us are letting us grow on their back property in the back. And then I also I rent a space west of town here out in the country, about 13 miles from here. And it's just a little postage stamp area, and that's where I grow all my annuals. So I do start all my annuals from seed down in my basement. And soon this summer, we are in the process of building a little greenhouse, 10 foot by 12 foot greenhouse out back. So this is our 5th year growing and selling. I just how I started was I just kind of bootstrapped. So it's a slow process when you do that. It's very slow and very kind of excruciating. Next year, I'm hoping to have irrigation and things like that. That's my big goal. So this year was making sure I have landscape fabric and things covered, so that way I'm not spending as much time weeding and less back pain, back strain. And so next year I'm hoping I'll have my greenhouse done, and I'll have all these other little things that really do help. And as far as growing flowers out here.
kind of building your infrastructure then. Is this your second or third season of growing then?
This is my 5th.
Oh, 5th. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't mean to make you less experienced than I know you are.
No.
How did you stumble into this though, MONÍCA? I mean, you have a great story.
I'm actually a transplant from Washington State. I'm born and raised out in Washington State. And I took horticulture in high school. This has always been something I've always done. I've always grown. Wherever we've lived, I've re-landscaped my yard and just grown flowers and things like that. 5 years ago, when I got this started, I was actually making homemade jams and jellies and selling them at one of the local farmers markets here in town. How long is our growing season? Is not very long. We start toward the end of May, and about the first week or two in October. That's it. We're zone 4B here in town. So
wow. So
yeah.
So you get kudos for having such an amazing selection of what you're growing, considering that you've got to do it in a condensed time period.
Right, and a small space. So that's a big learning curve. My yard is always changing, and I'm always removing something that may not, if I don't like it, I don't like designing with it, and the local florists don't like designing with it, it gets pitched out of the yard.
Yeah.
And so like the south side of our house, I had some asters growing, and I didn't like them, and nobody else did. So we tore all that out and put a bunch of peonies, coral charms, all kinds of colors on the side of the house. And in a couple of years, we'll have a good harvest, But
I think we got you off track. You started to say you were selling jams and jellies at the farmer's market, and then where did flowers come in?
Well, a group of us vendors started another farmer's market in town, and there were no flowers. So I was like, I have a ton of flowers already at home. And I literally threw some zinnia seeds and cosmos seeds out that year, and I just started gathering flowers and bringing them to the market. Well, they didn't sell very well. And so I think it's an entrepreneurial mind. You're always constantly thinking, what can I do with what I have? And so I went to a local health food store here in town. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I had some flowers so they could see them and see how long they last. And I said, I have no idea if you even need a flower vendor. I'm just here to ask. And she said, well, it just so happens we lost our flower vendor and we're looking for one.
That's awesome.
And so it was a perfect timing thing. And listening to that gut instinct to just go, I remember I was scared to death to go and to do it, but I did it. And she wanted her first delivery that Thursday. And so I seriously had like 2 days to figure out a business name and get registered. I didn't want it registered under my jam business. I wanted it separate, and figure out how I was going to wrap these things. And I was like, okay, if we're going to do this thing, we're going to do it. And so there we go.
Wow. I just have to say, you are kind of a unicorn, because this sort of thing happens to you. MONÍCA was telling me how she's sort of become the local flower expert on the TV station, like the afternoon show or something in Sioux Falls. And I feel like that's sort of similar story. Like you just were open to something and you made it better than it initially was.
Right. So well, that just came about. I was, all last year I've been trying to figure out, there's on one of the local TV stations here in town, they have Keloland Living, and so they, I had been trying to figure out how to get on this TV show called Keloland Living. Is from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. And I have a number of friends that have local businesses here in town that are on there. And I'm like, how can I get on there? And finally, I was just like, one Sunday morning at church, I was just like, God, I really want to get on that show. And I seriously just prayed, and the Tuesday after, I get an email from them saying they noticed that, because I teach a lot of classes through the community ed here in town, and they saw one of my dried wreath making classes that I was doing, and they asked if I wanted to be on the show. So since then,
you got a direct pipeline to the big guy. That's amazing.
So since then, I've been on every month.
That's amazing. So, and you're open.
Yeah.
You told me that after that first appearance, you said, "Hey, I can come back," and like you kind of just left the door open and planted a seed for them to see you as a local expert who can bring something pretty on the show. It's like a lifestyle show, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of like they do a lot of DIY projects, and they showcase a lot of local beers and wines and musicians and things like that.
Cool.
They had actually tried a lot of different florists here in town, and none of them would go on TV. And they had told me that, and I was like, I'll go. If you want a florist on TV, I'll do it. So yeah.
Well, love it. Now you have something fun to show them. We're going to try to get some press for you in Sioux Falls. Can I put up the photo gallery of your beautiful American Flowers Week Botanical Couture, and you can just talk a little bit about this and what your inspiration was. And here we go. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. What a beautiful look. This is South Dakota. I guess that's
my thought process was gathering South Dakota. So we're very rich with the Lakota Native American. They have a lot of reservations out here, and I know Echo. I've known Echo for 13, 14 years, and she's just a beautiful, gorgeous woman. And so I knew this was the area that we actually took this the photo shoot is the Lake Alvin area, and not too far from this location is some burial grounds. Native American burial grounds. So this land means a lot to the Native Americans.
And so you had an idea about what you wanted to create, and did you have Echo in mind as your model when you first started designing, or how did this whole look come together?
So yes, Echo from the very start was going to be my model. And I kind of told her what I was doing. I had shown her pictures of previous people that had been in the magazine previously. And I was like, this is my idea. This is what I'd like to do. And I was wondering if you'd like to be my model. And she was on it quick. She was like, yeah, count me in. And so the dress, I still really wasn't sure what I was going to create and what I was going to make. But farming is big out here. You've got your soy and corn farmers and stuff like that. And hunting is really big out here. People are gatherers and hunters out here. So the pheasant feathers and the antlers and things like that were all things that we had here at home because of my husband's hunting and things like that. The majority of the flowers I did grow, but that, like the flowers on the back of her head back here, those were foraged. A lot of the grasses were foraged for and things like that. So
talk about the fern. Let me see if I can find a detail of the fern in the back. We'll come back to these others.
The bodice part.
Yeah. All the fern on the bodice, I thought it was a really interesting application because the base of this is buckskin, right?
Yes. So I ended up going to the leather store in town because I wanted to get some leather to make braids. And my husband was actually the one that was starting to bring out the buckskins. And he's like, babe, you could sew a dress. So I ended up leaving there with 2 buckskins, and that's what I made the dress out of. I had never sewn leather before. So I just bought some leather sewing needles. I knew I had some thread at home already for like sewing denim and things like that. And I went home with 2 buckskins and sewing needles.
Wow.
And sewed the dress, made the fringe and everything. It was a little shorter than I liked. One day when my husband came home, I was working on it, and I said, it's shorter than I really wanted it to be. And he was the one that came up with the leggings.
They are fabulous. Those leggings are terrific. So that's just
So
the straps that you have flowers glued to then.
So my husband he was trying to explain to me what he was envisioning. And I said, well, there's some leftover scrap leather, go for it. And he, within 15, 20 minutes, he had cut out 2 identical straps that had fringe on it, and you could tie it. And then he was like, and you could glue all this stuff. I was like, well, there it is, go for it. And
oh man, we didn't give him enough credit.
by the end of the evening, he had built these, and I made these, and I was like, wow. And but the fern on the bodice part,
yeah,
I actually so I was trying to come up with ideas, because it's kind of was me, myself, and I beside my husband with the leggings, and just trying to come up with something that would make things last, so that just a time crunch kind of thing. And so decoupage. I brought out the old decoupage, and I decoupaged those ferns to the bodice.
Wow. Because they create a beautiful graphic pattern.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
You also said, I remember, MONÍCA, when we were talking, because this was photographed in October, it was right before your first frost, right?
Yes. So my original photo shoot date was a week before that. And it was just raining all day. So we had to reschedule the photo shoot, and it was October 5th that we had done this, and it was freezing. Echo is literally freezing in these pictures during the photo shoot. And, but yeah, and the temperature had dropped within that week. A lot of my dahlias, I wanted different colors of dahlias on there, and I wanted more dahlias, but, the temperature change just dropped, and that's what I had. So that's what I used.
Yep. It's beautiful. You did such a beautiful job. I really love that you wanted to show the Lakota people's culture and sense of place with, it's not like a costume. It's definitely a more fashion-forward reinterpretation, but there's such a nice, respectful nod to what matters to people in South Dakota, and I think that's you've gotten that response already, haven't you?
Yes, I have. To see the response from the Native American community has been awing to me. It chokes me up. When they see her out, there's one photo in particular where she's out in the field, and she's got old foliage on each side of her. Somebody had mentioned, somebody had wrote, this is what he said, this photo right here speaks volumes to me. It reminds me of when we were allowed to be free on the land, and we had our own land. And so just to have that photo right there.
Yeah, that's what it's beautiful.
Yes. And so, so just to see that response, especially right now, who knew that this was going to be what was happening in our world right now with everything going on. So this has really been a bright, shining light, I think, for people. And,
I love it. Thank you so much. And I was so excited to have a state that hasn't been represented. And that's actually why I reached out to Alison the first time. I'm like, hey, let's get Hawaii on the map. I feel like the same thing could be said for South Dakota. And I know you and I have talked a couple times about the fact that your market is pretty young in the flower farming world and in the whole idea of local flowers. And you're seeing baby steps moving toward, like, you're expanding your farm, and you're selling, you told me you were selling all your flowers through Mother's Day, even though it was a pandemic. So there's an awareness.
Yes. And so right now I'm in 2 local specialty stores. They're health food stores. There's a co-op, and then Pomegranate Market. And so it seems like I can't get enough flowers for those stores, which is awesome. And then I have flower subscriptions, and then people call for flower arrangements and things like that, and I deliver here in town and things like that. So
wonderful.
I sell just about everything I grow.
Wow. Well, I am so glad that you joined us today and talked about, I mean, the reason I think it's fun to have you tell your story is you just had a vision, you did a storyboard, and when it came to production, maybe the materials changed a little bit, but you were thoughtful about what you wanted to create, and that kind of made the production you know, probably so much easier than if you had your location scouted with the photographer, you had your model picked out. And it does take some planning. And we're trying to give people some early inspiration, so that maybe this summer that there'll be people who want to create botanical couture looks for 2021. So crossing fingers, but you and Alison will have to be the mentors to those people when we line them up. It's great. MONÍCA, congratulations. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And people are putting comments in the Zoom group chat with their congratulations for both of you. Great. All right. So any other questions? Anybody want to jump in? We just have like one more thing we're going to talk about, and maybe Lisa can help me with that. Do we, okay. I guess we're going to thank you, MONÍCA, and we're going to just wrap up. Okay.
Thank you, Deborah.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you be part of this. So we're not going to do breakout rooms this week, but we are going to talk just a little bit about an opportunity we just announced, which is still for American Flowers Week. You know, so we've got this series of Botanical Couture that's really kind of got a life of its own, and you know, we know how to support people, and then what we want to do to publish those dresses in Florist Review and on all the Slow Flowers platforms, and turn them into social media graphics. And we want to do the same thing with floral, with installations, with botanical installations, large scale floral sculptures that can be pop up in your community during American Flowers Week. And so we've had people do them from time to time. In fact, if you go to AmericanFlowersWeek.com, in fact, I'll probably pull it up right now. We had, let me see if I can get this up. I just did a post about this. Never mind. I'm not going to be able to do it. Maybe someone else can pull up AmericanFlowersWeek.com. We just did a post about some of the past installations that people have done to celebrate American Flowers Week. So to formalize it, we're kind of calling for proposals for people who want to do something spontaneous in their community. And here we go. Thank you for that. And we'll help promote it and help you get it photographed and get it shared. So this post shows some of the past ones, and Lisa actually is going to help mentor the team. Take a chance and listen, look at this, and Lisa just kind of gave people some inspiration for jumping on, and we have a link that you can apply and put your suggestions in. But here's some that have been done in the past. Something as simple as a flag out of flowers. This is a really cool painting, really, a mural that Isabella Thorndike Church created with mostly dried elements. We did which by the way is the logo of her mother's farm, La Mera Gardens. We did a floral stage and the loading dock at the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market in Seattle, or that's redundant, but in Seattle last year. Tara Folker of Splints and Daisies she flower bombed the free piano in her town square during American Flowers Week. So there's any number of things that people can do. Lisa talked and here's the application. Thank you so much, whoever's doing that. If you're interested, it's a way to just do something spontaneous. You've got time to plan. I certainly didn't overthink this. So it's really just trying to let you know that we're happy to do some brainstorming and support. After we announced this, Nisha had it up on Instagram. We probably got 4 different teams that contacted us in other cities. We also have Lisa's going to do one as part of her Big Flower Fern series, which she'll do the installation as her last one in Detroit on July 2nd. We also have a team in Pittsburgh who's committed to doing something. So let's try to get 5 or 6 of these kind of, and try to build up the tradition of doing botanical installations as well as botanical couture. So just want to let you know about it if you're feeling creative, if you're feeling like you've got extra flowers and nothing's happening over July 4th. here's an opportunity to get a little press. We'll share the love on our platform, and if we get it photographed, we might be able to get them published next year in advance of American Flowers Week. Anything else you want to add, Lisa, on that?
No, I think you covered it.
You're looking so good with your beautiful lei. Great. Well, we are going to meet again on the second Tuesday of July, and I would welcome anyone to reach out to me and give me some suggestions on who knows what's going to happen in 4 weeks, right? We can't predict. We've learned that every day is changing. So we're not going to set the speaker or the topic yet, but it will be a great way to kind of do a recap. And maybe we'll do a recap of American Flowers Week, Botanical Couture installations, and show photography of those, and maybe have one of the creators talk about that. That's an opportunity I think we can look forward to. I think the date is Friday, July 10th. And we have a few giveaways today. We are going to, let me just quickly find my list. We are going to do drawings for 1 copy of the new Slow Flowers Journal book. And the last time we were together, I just had a PDF to show you, but now I've got a real book to show you. Here it is. And Karen and I just did a big production this week to mail copies of this out. And actually in this book is the tropical fashions from American Flowers Week 2 years ago that Grace Flowers Hawaii did. So we'll give a copy of the book away, and we'll give away 2 sets of the American Flowers Week labels, because we want to get those out in the mail next week for people to use. And I just want to give a shout out to our winners from our last meeting. Alison Mann of BWMP Floral won the Johnny Seeds Eat Local t-shirt. Heidi Anderson from Brick Road Flower Farm won a copy of the Slow Flowers Journal book. She actually just messaged me and told me she can't put it down, which I said, could you please post that to Amazon? I need a review up there. And then Amanda Maurerman, actually, who was our guest, and Yanni Levenbach, who's a past guest, seriously, this is a random drawing. They both received a roll of American Flowers Week bouquet labels. So someone here is going to win bouquet labels or a book. And I just want to share with you how valuable it is to have this gathering. We have a good turnout today. We have like over 25 people, and I'm really grateful that you took time out of your morning to join us. And we'll post the video of this. You can, those who want to go back and listen to Alison and listen to MONÍCA talk about how they made these beautiful garments, it will be saved on video that we'll share. So I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll see you online and also next month. Thanks. Take care.